Wow, it's always something new. Eh? But today I just wrote a little bit the story last night, but I think I wrote too much. Then we're going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to improvise the majority of the thing. The idea is, I'm going to explain you my life. It was a lucky one. You know, I started very young, 7 years old, to play guitars. But at that time, guitar was not a very popular instrument. Then it was rare, the people who start guitars. And the instrument were, it was taking years before, 3 years before you really play a song. It was something. Anyway, I'm a left-handed. Then I start the wrong way. Because if you're left-handed, you have to play left-handed, you know. And they forced me to play right-hand. Then later on, I discovered that my rhythm was not good. Or when I was doing my arpeggio, I had problem after a few bars. I was to keep, you know, a constant rhythm. Then already there, I start to say, one day if I make guitar, I'm going to make left-handed. And I do. Because, you know, it's very important. Your brain, it's really amazing. I could see me sometime now, if I was playing left-handed, I could play so much. This way, I have a hard time. Then it changed. My dream was to be a professional musician. I studied many, many years. And I started to teach very young, like 13 years I was starting to teach. And, but I realized some of my students had way more talent than I had. Then, you know, wow, after a few years, I said, oh, I think, Robert, you're going on the wrong way. I'm never going to be an elite. I played with famous people, but I knew I had a limit. And my limit was that I played the instrument the wrong way. Then this is something. Then everything happened as a luck, as an opportunity that I jump in. I was working on this music school, and it was one of my aunts. She died one night, and the school was up for sale. Then I had to quit school very young, 15 years old. My father was sick, and I don't want to make a violent story, but, but the thing is, I had to pay the house and everything and support the family. Then I said, wow, my dream will be to have this music school. And one of the aunts signed for me because I was minor, I was 15. And we started the thing. And at 15, the dream you have, and I'm a dreamer, I'm telling you, right away, a lot of things happen in the guitars. Around 65, it's when the guitar changed completely. Before, the guitar was more a rhythm instrument. It was not the focus of a band. But in 65, an example, The Ventures was an American group who came with 2 guitar, bass, drum, and they rocked the place. No singing. And those guys, you know, they were starting to bend string. Nobody was bending string. And they were doing all kind of sound with their guitars. Another group, too, from England, the Shadows. The Shadows also really influenced the guitar. And from that on, wow, I was fascinated by that. And I said, wow, we need something, how they can bend their string, you know. The gauge of string we were using at that time was very big, something like 13 for the small string. You had to be Mr. Muscleman to bend a string. It was impossible. Then I created a set of string at that time with banjo string. because small gauge didn't exist. It exists on banjo. Then I made this set. Then I went down from 13 to 10 gauge. And with that, I produced this set. It really, you could do the effect, you can bend, but it brought other problems, that the guitar was not made for that, totally. But this was the new style. Then I really work on it as a hobby to adapt the instrument at that time. And the biggest problem was intonation. The instruments were so off when you were changing string, and even with the regular string. And then I decided to buy a tuner. The only tuner was existing was made by an American company called Con. It was an organ company, Con Organ. They made a tuner the size of this box here. Then they had 6 analog tuners, 1 per string. It was amazing, this machine. Then I said, I need that to do intonation, to fix this problem. My aunt was like, Robert, it's crazy. We paid that thing something like $6,500, which is like $50,000. But I was a kid, now I know. I said, with this, I'll do miracle. But she was very nice, and she says, okay, then we put together and we bought the machine. With that, I really worked all the guitars and fixed intonation. And we saw that at the end, I realized, wow, the instrument should be made like this for that. Intonation was a huge problem. And before the string, an example, I'm sure some are musicians here, I see a few cases, they were using the string with big cover over the string, that the sustain was an eighth of a second. Toons. Then it was very hard to get the intonation. But with my set of string, it was all wound, then the sustain was there. I'm telling you, when you're playing the octave, it was so off. Then with my machine, I could correct it. Even the bass guitar at that time, they were putting a big piece of kind of rubber over the string to muff, to imitate more the string bass instrument. Then I removed that. I started to use one string, and bass player went crazy. And people at that time didn't change string. I was asking, they were coming in my shop and say, give me a B string. I said, okay, how long you have your set? Oh, they're new, it's only 2-3 years I have the guitar. People were keeping their string. They hate new string at that time because they had too much sustain. But it's just to explain you that around 1965, wow, everything was upside down for the guitar. Then with this machine, it was a big, big stage for me. People were coming from everywhere. I was in Montreal. People were driving from Toronto to meet me. And please fix my guitar, set up the string or the bass. Then I worked like hell. 7 days a week on that. I had so much work, and my shop became very popular, just doing this extra thing. Then this is part 1. It's just to put you on the mood. One day, I did a trip, a hunting trip. This was the joke. I went very far east, past Sherbrooke, and anyway, end up in a hotel. I was hearing somebody, an old man, say, I just made a guitar. And then first thing, I was sitting with the guy. I was not interested about hunting at all. I'm not a hunter. And first thing he brought me to his place and showed me the guitar he made. And the guitar, you had to have a lot of courage, a lot of inspiration. the poor man didn't have the right material or string or, you know, like Pickguard, he used Arborite for like a kitchen counter top. But I saw the potential. I said, my gosh. And he was liking my playing. At the end of the night, he said, go with this guitar. I told him the story of my shop. And I say, I'm going to study that. And I look at the guitar in the shop. I call him back. He said, no, first I want to tell you, this man was making windows, wood window. He had a shop there, and he was making wood window. And this was dying. Around that time, around 70s, everybody was changing their window for aluminum window. Even today, we go back to wood, but this was his big thing. He said, at my age, I don't want to change. I would like to make guitars, but I say, ooh, we're going to have to do a big step to commercialize the guitar. You know, we're going to have to change a lot of things. Then I want to be sure he was willing to do. Then, to make the short story, I call him and I said, look, I have an idea. You're going to make about 10 guitars. I'm going to send you everything. And you're going to have, I had a big list of modification. Then I decided to go and explain him. It was 3 hours of drive, 75 kilometers of dirt road. It was something to get there. It's a little village called La Patrie. La Patrie is at the end of the world, I tell you. I barely ever met someone who knows where is La Patrie because there's no lake around. It's just at the border of New Hampshire. If you look at the map, New Hampshire is coming a point, and you look at about an inch from there, and you're going to see La Patrie. And that's where he was. Anyway, I bring with all the change, and he made it. And I got the 10 guitar. They were, wow, they start to look like an instrument, you know. And I say, I'll give you news. And I sold the guitar. Over a week, they were all gone. Then I said, wow, that's interesting. Then I call him back. I say, now we're going to make 20, but you're going to do another step, you know. I had to convince him about all the steps, but the fact that I sold the first one fast, he was encouraged. Anyway, on and on like that. And now he really pushed me. He says, why we don't start to really produce the guitar? I'm going to stop my window factory. And at that, I said, okay. Then now my art was to manufacture. I said, this was really my dream, to be a manufacturer, not only a technician anymore. And then we start the Norman guitars. It was his name, Normand Boucher. But there it was close to United States, then his name was Normand, but no D, Norman. It was his real way. Then he was older than me, then we took his name. Then we were fortunate because acoustic was really starting. I'm a French guy, then I know more group like harmonium. You see, then that type of music brought, like Serge Fury was one of my students. And then he was talking a lot. Then one day I said, I'm going to make you a 12-string, and I made the first 12-string on that. Then we had good success, quite a success with those instruments. But they were very different and traditional. Then when I went to Ontario, it was a different game already. You know, the same instrument, it took me, I had a harder time to promote it because they were so different. But I succeed just the same. Then I said, I'm going to try in the United States. No way. I could sell one. And people were not too friendly. You know, why? The guitar sounds amazing, and they were sounding good. It was the name. At that time, it's funny. You know, you could design the nicest instrument in the world, everything has to be perfect. Perfect by, it has to please people. At that time, they had a TV show, and Norman was the most dummy guy. And you were saying, what is the name of the guitar? Norman? They were laughing. And me, I didn't know. I never watched American TV. And one day a guy said, I'll be honest, it's not a good name. And also the way the neck was attached, the Americans are the most conservative people. If it's not exactly like they see the old instrument, they won't touch it. Then I said, okay, I realized that. But I did good sales enough to run the factory in Canada. I went in Europe, of course, France. I had a good success in France. Then I succeeded to sell quite a few Norman. England too. England was good. After I did Germany, then it went, step by step. Then at that point, my old partner went crazy. They say, wow, he sell them in Europe. Then we changed direction both in our spirit. Me, I said, wow, we have to redesign. We have to bring something new. Him, it was totally different. He'd rather buy a big Cadillac and be happy, But this, it's a lesson. I was young. I didn't know enough about business. And then I figured that we were not on the same spirit. Then we split together at that point. And I start another factory. And it was something, because I said I'm going to do some acoustic, but I'm going to start to do subcontract. I had a lot of demand from American firm to produce either guitar for them or parts. Then for me, it was a nice way to really balance my production and get the money in at the right time. Then when I had subcontract, they were paying me as soon they were ready, I was paid. Then this gave me money to do my payroll. And when I was selling to stores, they were paying me 30, 60 days. Then it's the mixture. A lot of people are going to say, why, you didn't go to see a bank? Who? Just go and see a banker and say, I'm a guitar maker, I want to do a factory. You'll see the reception you're going to have. I don't blame them, because it was amazing. They all think that we were, just having a ball and smoking a joint and play guitar, and that we were playing guitar all day. They had no idea it could be an industry. Then it took me a while to get people, It's the ensemble of everything. Making instrument is one, but the heart is as hard. You design an instrument, you build it, but to sell it is as hard as making the instrument. To sell the idea, the concept, how to approach people. It's as much effort than manufacture. A lot of people say, hey, I have the best instrument, but they didn't get the right approach. You have to secure always all your angle. Then I designed the Seagull guitar. At that time, all the guitar were related with the ocean. And Seagull was a name they loved. I checked before. Imagine in French, mouette. I don't think it will be a good guitar. But Seagull, wow, they loved it. But my design was too futurist. I didn't have a traditional headstock. Mine was pointy. I made the neck a little bit wider. And also I brought satin finish guitar. Oh la la, It was too much, but the guitar was performing extremely well. Except it's my inexperience at that time, I brought too many things in one shot. But some American guy heard about that, and they came in Montreal, see the factory. Okay, Robert, we're gonna sell, I'm a rep for 25 years in New York, and I'm gonna sell so many guitars you won't believe. I said, wow, interesting. And I explained them everything. They didn't listen. I have experience. Then they went with a sample. I wait around my phone. The phone never rings. They didn't get a sale because the instrument was too much. They didn't explain. They didn't listen. It was a concept instrument, not another copy of something. Then everybody said, very nice, but at the moment, we just bought some Yamaha, just to say something. Then next time. But they never sold one. Then I was quite discouraged, and I said, wow. I was believing on the instrument. Then I said, I asked them what store they visit. They visit the biggest store to do the biggest order, which I think was wrong. They're the most conservative. And then I said, I'm gonna focus on different stores, more smaller store where the owner is there, where I can explain my concept and they will sell. Then I bought an old Ford van, loaded with guitars, and I start by Bangor, Maine. Not the most update market, and I went up to Boston. I never miss a sale, but I always explain why my 28 stuck. It was for tuning. And it was logic. Everything with a logic people can understand. Then I'm not going to give you the sales pitch now, but I had a very good sales pitch. And those people really had a success. But I was saying the truth to them. You know, I'm not rich. If you want to buy from me, I have the guitar in my truck. You choose them, and you pay me. And they said, oh, okay. Then they went in a truck with me, and they said, we're going to take one. Okay, take whatever you want. They took 3, 4, because, I like that one, I like that one. And just to make the short story, it was very successful. I could sell, a truck was 70 guitars. I could sell that in 3 days and come back at the factory. But the story of a factory in the mountain just near the border, it's so important. And it was the truth. And those dealers, they really helped me. And a majority of them are still there. Then they start to call other, I have friends in New York, he owns a very nice shop. Let me call him for you. Then they call, and they say, Robert, when are you going to go? I said, I'm ready to go now. Then I went in New York, and I had a good reception, and I found my network quite fast. But it's also, I found my stores, the type of store. I didn't lose my time with the big surface, because they change staff too often and all these things. And anyway, it was to run all the thing parallel. And from that, they introduced me to another in Chicago. And anyway, within a couple of years, I had a nice network. And I find some good representatives that really listened, and we had a good success with those guitars. It is, it is a real challenge always to figure, because you can't miss a step. If something doesn't work in the middle, you're finished. Things had to roll. And then my subcontract was great too at the same time. I made incredible guitar for majority of the American company. But I learned from those people a lot. They told me their trick, what they want, and then I made it. Till, everything was up and down, and when you start. To go in this business, you need so much money because the raw material, you know, we start from logs, and we have to split the log. You have to dry the wood. It is really, really something. And then one day I found a super contract. I'll say the name because they don't exist anymore. It was Kramer. It was when Van Halen, I don't know if you, Van Halen really happened, Floyd Rose. And I was the one, they had an idea, they could never make a guitar. And I said, I can make it. And I made the guitar, I made all the Kramer. And I was making tons of guitar. Everything was fantastic because it really happened sale-wise at that time. Then I was producing maybe 5,000 a month of those guitars. Then this brought me getting going, you know, with a better cash flow and everything. Then, till a day, the bank seized the place. Because those guys they were all in cocaine and, you know, it was amazing. But you had the success, everything, then that's it. Then a big catastrophe one day, no check, no more business. And I was stuck with about 8,000 guitars in the process to be finished. Then I had to lay off everyone. It was really something, you know, something that you learn is lesson of life. You know, I concentrate too much with those guys. I really put all my effort. But I was fortunate to be able to, because the name was known. The bank didn't want me to sell the guitar. In America, they say, you're not a law. But I was stuck with it. Then I found a supplier of parts, and he was in Germany, and we sold all the guitar. He was stuck with all the parts, and me, I was stuck with the neck and bodies of guitars. Then we sold them in Japan, very far, because the name was known. Then I could really recuperate, you know, but it was tough. It was tough. And I said, from now on, subcontract, I'm going to stay. You don't control your destiny, you know, and I put too much effort there. But I learned a lot just the same. I learned a lot about this market, and this was a great occasion for me to experiment the electric guitar market. I was dreaming to do mine, but electric guitar is a different story than acoustic. Acoustic buyer, if the guitar looks right, sounds right, he's going to buy it. But electric, it's the image. You know, the young people, if they don't recognize the name, if they don't see, forget it, they won't buy your guitar. Then I address my electric guitar to a market, more the high-end market, where musicians, they recognize a good thing or not, but not the beginner. Then I designed some special guitar called Acousticaster. This was an electric guitar. It looks like really an electric guitar, but it was hollow inside, and I made an electroacoustic guitar that plays and feels like an electric guitar and had the big sound of an acoustic guitar. How I did that? Quite special. I did with sympathetic steel bar in the guitar. Means, I don't know if you play electric, but if you play a solid body electric, unplug, and you touch the table, whoop, you're going to have an amplitude. Then I say, wow, something else could help that. Then I put rods under the bridge in the guitar, rods of steel, and they were tuned and they were vibrating. Then I put 3 C, E, G, like C major. And when I was hitting the tongue was tuned 2 octaves lower than the real note. And the pickup was right over that. That it gave me the effect of a very big chamber, and I had a tiny chamber. Then with this, after at the end, I had 16 rods tuned. I still make this guitar, but it was a huge hit. And it was something different. Then I had people like Bruce Springsteen using the guitar, and then it put my name right where I want. Then that's the way I start my first electric, an electroacoustic instrument. There's a lot of blah blah, eh? Then, okay. Then for sure, I wrote so many things, but I can talk. This is the danger. I hope it's interesting. Is that okay? Then it's always, we have to be open-minded, and I never made an instrument for me. This is the worst case. I made for the musician. And what kind of musician? Who are they? What they dream? And you have to be in the field for that. Then I was the guy in the front, and I was visiting dealers and meeting a lot of musicians, and I could see their eyes and think. Musicians don't know. They just, if you give them an instrument, if the neck feel good, and then the sound is the third thing. It's funny. We think you make a musical instrument, the sound must be the priority of everything. It's not. It's come in third. First, the look. If they don't like the look, it's part of their suit. If you have a guitar on you, the musician, they want to see if they're going to fit them. It's normal. And second, they're going to feel the neck. If the neck feels well, it's like a pair of shoes. You're going to say, wow, oh, I love this neck. And then they're going to try it. Sound come in third. But that's why it was not a good argument to say this guitar sound the best. Everybody say that. It's got something original, the feel, and then, of course, you have to have the 3 part. Then this, it is the way, Electric guitar is so fundamental. It's all these things. Then acoustic caster, like I say, was then the acoustic electric instrument. I made a specialty of that because my competitors, were making a lot of solid body guitars, and then I was not strong enough name-wise to make an opening. People will buy the name they know. You see? Then with those instruments, I had a chance to really make a space. They say, oh, we don't have this type of guitar. Then I have a chance to sell them. And this is very, very important. Then after that, I designed an instrument for Latin music. I'm a jazz guy. I love the Latin. Then people love to play nylon string guitar. They love the sound. But if you're not a classical player, they don't like it. Then I made a nylon string guitar for steel string player, for people who use a pick. And this, I knew there was a market for this type of instrument. Then I designed this semi-acoustic guitar and called the multi-ac, an acoustic with multi-function. Then this nylon string guitar, you can use a pick, and if you're a classical guy, you could use it just the same. You were used to the neck had a profile, a very nice profile that they could play it. It's not a large neck like a classical guitar. I adapt all the parameters of that, and the multi-act became, well, in Brazil, is the instrument. Then all South America, over a few years, I invade this market, you know. I made thousands and thousands of multi-act, and today it's the same all over the world. And even in Mexico now, it's a big deal. But we went crazy about the range of that. I made some even for classical player. I made with War. We have 11 model of multi-act, but with very sophisticated electronic, and this gave me another chance to reach a market. United States took me a while. Now United States is very strong, the multi-act, but it took me 10 years to have an attraction in the United States. Japan, a lot, but anyway, it's by making all these special instruments that I could, and also making the acoustic. You're gonna say, hey, Mr. Godin, why you make so many brands? Because people, you know, if they don't like something, they switch over. They walk on the store, if it doesn't please them within 2 minutes, even less, they're gonna look for another brand. Then an example, the Seagull was a wider neck, a different headstock. I'm not in the back of each guitar to say all the spec. Then some say, oh, I don't like that. They go to the next one. Then I made a guitar, very conservative, called Simon and Patrick, which are my two sons. But the idea was not that. The idea was Simon and Garfunkel at that time. But I was not allowed to use Simon and Garfunkel. But I say, two names, you know, it's so important. Then Simon and Patrick please to the market. An example, in England, 4 years in a row, we were the Guitar of the Year with Simon and Patrick, and Germany was very good too. A name was gonna fit for, and you can pronounce on any language. Then, you know, then Simon and Patrick create his own market. Then it really helped us. After I did nylon string guitars, not classical, because classical guitar exists for a long time. Then I made nylon string instrument with some features that they were easier to play. I made a neck more adapt for everyone. And when I started the first nylon string guitar, I called them Kamouraska. What a mistake. Kamouraska, you know, here, if you live in Quebec, it's a very poetic area, but you say Kamouraska in Toronto and they think Yamaha, they think it was Japanese. Then, you see, and then not enough search on that. Then I call it, after that we changed the name. It was, I couldn't sell outside of Canada, outside of Quebec. Then we call it La Patrie. La Patrie is the name of the village. At least it has a sense. People wants to know those things. It's very difficult, you know, but La Patrie, first question, wow, what's La Patrie? It's the village where this guitar is made. Ah, already you had an attraction. Oh, it's made in Canada. Oh, it's wood of Canada. Then it has to speak by himself, almost. And then the La Patrie still exists. After we made a lower-end instrument to attack more the market called Art and Lutherie. And I took an elaborate name, Art and Lutherie, because the entry-level guitar, it's not the kid who bought it, it's the parents for their kids. Then it was a name that it was good, but we made a beautiful instrument, sound amazing, and the art industry became a big success. Then I could increase the volume that I was doing with a merchant. Now the same merchant could buy medium price guitar, high end. They could buy an entry level made here. Wow, it made the change of this company. And the store really said, wow, I do volume with this guy. And it's important. You know, if they sell 2 guitars of you a year, you won't stay there long. You know, you have to generate business. And more today is we sell to computers. You know, if you sell to Amazon or all these websites, it's a computer order. And if it doesn't turn within so many days, you're out. Then, oh yeah, it has, then it's quite complicated, you know, but you have to be alert, and this is the way. Another thing, you know, we have many factories. You're gonna say, why? I got 6 factories. Obviously more than that. We divide all our instruments by categories. And just before that, I should say, one day I had a partner, and one day my partner died. He was the account. And, but my neighbor, where I was living, he was listening to me every day. He was teacher at HEC here at university. And he was dreaming about my company. Every day he meet me, he says, well, Bear, tell me more. And when he heard that my partner died, he says, I'm bored, I have no children, I teach 3-4 hours. He had a master degree, he studied 5 years in Chicago. He said, I teach maybe 4 hours a week. He said, I have a lot of time. I'll come and help you. I said, fine. Then he came, and he did an amazing job. He was so in love with the process. Now, then he said, I'm going to take a sabbatic year. And he took, the university didn't want, but after they say, okay, then he came to work. After 6 months, he said, would you keep me? I said, yes. Then he quit teaching. And he's with me now for almost 20 years. Then it's a kind of genius. You know, you think these type of people who had a master degree and the most complicated thing, he was a little bit like me, thinking that, no, everything has to be simple. Then we divide the fabrication of the guitar by entry level. We have, like for acoustic guitar, we have 3 factories. One for the entry level, one for the medium price, and another one for the high end. You can mix them because they have rule on each one. You do this way. The medium price, you do another. You can mix them together. The people get confused, and you don't know where you are. Then it's so simple. Now we say, okay, this factory, we have 100 workers. We made so many guitars this week. We're okay or not, because they're all the same value. Then we check the 3 factories, and it takes a few minutes to know if you're okay or not. Today we check 2 times a day, 3 times a day if we're okay on each department. We have a very elaborate system of making instruments. You know, to make a guitar, it takes 6 weeks, not including the wood we dry for 2 years. But when we start to put together the guitar, it takes 6 weeks that the guitar become in a box, finish. It's a long process. It's not that we work 6 weeks on it. It's you have the dry time. You have to get your glue to crystallize before you do the next step. See, guitar in Asia, they make in about 7 hours completely in a box. It's a different thing. Then our instrument is going to live long. and you can fix them. We kept the highest standard, even in a low one. And a good example, one of my salesmen say, they will make an antique. You know, an old Norman guitars, we just saw a guy who, he called us and he saw on the internet, on eBay, an old Norman 74. He called the company and said, is it really a 74? He gave us the serial number. We said, yes. He paid $2,000. And this guitar in 74 was sold about $250. This made me happy, you know, to see that these instruments gain value. What's gain value today? Nothing. You buy a computer 3 years after. There's no parts, there's nothing. You call the company, they're going to say, it's too old, 3 years. Gone. TVs are the same. Everything is disposable. But the way we make instruments, it's not. They increase value. It's made here. Then this gives me energy again to go forwards on that. Then it's 6 weeks. Then if you visit the factory in Princeville, you're going to see 10,000 guitars in process. But every hour, some go in a box. But it's a real calculation. Your employees are the main thing. Then all our employees, we made their job interesting. They change function at the most every hour. They never do all day making a hole. You know, we try to give them the interest. Then if you work for us, you work on a department, and you do all the operation. You know why you cut there, why you glue this. And the day passed, and you change function. And we saw the interest growing from the employee. Funny fact, that I like, 80% of the workers are women. It's not because we choose them. They're the one who like to make it. Then even we have 2 factories that they're managed by women. It's like that. Guys like the big machine, but they're not delicate enough. Then they like to make this. Then anyway, it's part of success. They all work on a profit sharing too. Then every week, if they obtain certain number, they have a bonus. It could be up to 20% of their salary. Then it's a fantastic time. Just to do that, we have people who just think about those things. I mean, there's not a point that you have to neglect. It's going to come back right on you. You know, it's then also we have our own union, which is free for the employees. Then this I learned from a good businessman in Toronto. Is a manufacturer too of electronics called Jack Long. This man, I call him, I say, I was smelling that, you know, union, when you have certain employees, they're there. They're coming, and he says, Robert, I'm going to teach you everything. Because he created his own union. Then he gave me all the minute and everything. Then we established this. And it's fantastic, you know. It's then the employees, we talk to them every 2 weeks. They meet us, they can ask us any question, and we answer. Then this doesn't come from me, like I say, but it has to exist because you're going to be cornered one day. It's guaranteed. That anyway, it's just that each factory is specialized. We have 2 electric factories. Total different mindset, you know, and also we have the research. Our head office is in Montreal, in Bay d'Urfé, in the West Island. That's where we do marketing, and the salespeople are based there, and the big accounting, it's there. Then just the marketing, we make our own catalog, picture. You know, there's not a second that I say, oh, I have nothing to do today. There's always, they're chasing, you know, I'm chasing the time. And, oh, yeah, we have to do that. This show's starting. And today, it's funny, we cover 65 countries. And then the tip of the iceberg happened, internet. Wow. Oh la la, internet. Then it changed the complete deal. You see, in Europe, we were using distributor, and we had a distributor per country. And when the internet happened, because now the product, the name is known, it's 45 years that we make the guitars, you know. Then it starts to get known. Then the kids now, and not only the kids, they go on the internet. An example, Germany, they're going to say, wow, the multi-act, it's $1,500 in USA, and here is 3,000 euro. Then it didn't work. People were running to go in US to get the guitars, and we had no way to, the distributor, they were used to a huge margin, and also our line was coming too broad to explain. And then we decided to do our own distribution in Europe, like we do in the United States since the beginning. This is a big job too. To visit in the States, we have about 1,500 dealers. Then you have to have people who go every month, explain your instrument, see if they're happy. And we decide, wow, we're going to have to do that there. And we create a division, and we did. Now we do 15 countries ourselves. We have employees on each country who visit store every month, and it changed the business. But today with the internet, it brings, you know, all the invoices are done by internet, and then we had to go to logistic, change the logistic of everything. I try to give you, I'm shooting about anything to you. I don't know if it's interesting, but you know, it's all the thing that we face. And then you have to train those people, and then we sell in the country, you know, like in euro, we sell in euro. Dealers are not used to do a transfer or go. Then we had to open a bank in Europe, bank account. Then they just, it's easy for them. It's like they buy from anyone. Then after that, one day, this is another thing special. I was checking, my wife bought an iPad one day, and a couple of days she received an email saying, okay, you're going to receive in 3 days, now it's in Chicago. Then they were shipping from China directly to our door. And I said, they must have an incredible rate. Then I called the same companies, you know, and they say, oh, we don't know, you know, UPS and DHL. Then it took me a year and a half to find the person who knew about this deal. It's all about volume. It's all about a special code. Then one day, I received a phone call from DHL, an example. They did ads with us on that. And I explained the situation. We're a manufacturer. Our cardboard are the same size. We can do so many. They give me a rate, a deal like I can't say to anyone. Because, and now, people call us or send an email, and they guarantee shipping in 2 days. It's all by air. And then I have this deal that I include the shipping in my guitar. People can believe. Guy called Thursday night, us, and Saturday morning they received the guitar in Paris, in the store. The store were calling us, this is incredible. I mean, I ordered Thursday and it's here. I said, yeah, because my deal is with express delivery even Saturday. Then it's amazing. Then just to find those things, you have to have time. The energy, the computer system, everything. It's been an evolution like you can't believe in a couple of years. You know, I saw more in 5 years than I saw all in my life. Just by, for everything. Then you have to be good on everything. And now it's really working very well. People buy direct from factories and blah, blah, blah. Then this is the logistic aspect. Also, you have to have cardboard who's going to resist a football game because they just drop the guitar 10 feet high. They don't care. It has to resist. Then we have a good team. We have 10 engineers, mechanical. We have a full machine shop. We make the majority of the machinery ourselves. We have no choice. Real guitar factory in the world, I'm not sure if there is 10. A lot of brand, but real factory, we're not many. Then it's because it's too much, you know. Then we have to build equipment, we have to do a lot of research, and we have so much work on that, it's unbelievable. Then these engineers, they stay with us because they have a lot of fun. They can do real projects. And they work on real, we make CNC machine, numeric machine. We do quite impressive stuff, you know, ourselves to make the guitar perfect, better. And we had no choice. To compete, we had to make guitar with less people. We had to make more guitar, less people, but more precise and much better. Then when you start to touch numeric machine and all, you can't go back after. You know, it has to be in the front before. Then today there's a lot of robotic, and then it's quite something. I'm so excited because I see all these things. I know the project for the next 3 years. Now we paint guitar with robots, you know, and they're so precise. They go exactly at the right distance. You can't live without them. They send the exact amount of varnish. But again, we enter on that. I have a funny story. Remember when GM closed in St. Therese? They had an auction. I went and I bought, I think, 15 robots. Car robots. And I was afraid like crazy because I went with my engineer and said, guys, we called the company and explained, you know, they're Fanuc robot, they're very known. We call Fanuc and say, do you think with those robots we're going to achieve this? They say, whew, I think you're dreaming. But they say they can do about anything. But anyway, my young engineer, they were so excited. I bought the 15 robots. And we had to create an hand, and with 5 fingers, with suction cup on each. And the robot chews the guitar on the wall, and he's got a camera, and he sees the model. Okay, this is a cutaway, it's a class. He's going to go and take it a certain way, because depending their shape. And then he's going to bring them to a table, then position the guitar perfectly and buff it completely, polish. But this took 2 years before we could use the first robot. But it works amazing. Then this was the explosion. What a good deal I did. But at one point I say, wow, what are we going to do? Imagine I'm retarded a little bit. Can you believe I don't own a computer? I don't. I never had the time to sit and learn how it functions. It's 2 phones all day long and go there and do this. I never had the chance. But today the company is really high tech, and but it is the way, to make very precise. Today we taught making guitars 10,000 of an inch, 5,000 of an inch. In wood, you never talk about that precision. In wood, people talk 30,000, 20,000. My father was a machinist, a tool maker. Then I remember when he was saying at that time, 10,000 of an inch was the end of the world. But now we make instruments, we deal with wood, sanding, everything, and we can come to 10,000 of an inch, 5,000 in certain case. Then everything is so precise. Your wood has to be perfect. I just wish today I could bring you all and do a tour. And it's really there. It's all the technology, it's happening at a rhythm that you can believe. Then even now, I know we're going to have some little fleas on each guitar soon. And you're going to give me an order. I'm going to enter your order. I'm going to say, your guitar is on the 3rd department. It's going to come in so many days. We use those little fleas now for the painting. When the chain come with the guitars, if the robot sprayed once, the flea registered. Even if you remove this guitar for 2 months and you're supposed to put 4 coats, if you put that one back, he knows he did 1 coat. Then he's going to do 3 coats. You see all these things coming, and you have to absorb, you have to put that together. And now it's more crazy. We work with McGill. I see Gary Scavone and Maryse, and hey, Marcelo, the famous Marcelo. Then we work on project here at McGill for analyzing instrument and sound, and it's phenomenal, I think, what's coming. And then this, you wake up in the morning and, this project's coming, this one, this one, this one. And it's a bunch of excited people, We did project like, one day we decided we have a research team. I have 3 luthiers too. We have a workshop in Montreal, just build prototypes. And we separate those guys because you can't show to the factory what's coming. They're going to freak out. Then we don't show them till we're sure it's coming. Then we have those people. And we did a project, a little sideline. I do clinics like at Berkeley in Boston. I do there in Spain. I do guitar clinics. I wrote a course, how to analyze a guitar for a guitar player. Guitar players play very well, but they don't know. Really, it's not how to build a guitar. It's, I want to play blues. What kind of scale I need? And it's all these things. They invited me 10 years ago to do a session. Even the teacher, they said, we didn't know anything about that. And since that, I do every year. Then it's very good. I meet the musician, I see what they dream, and anyway, I'm a blah blah guy. Do you believe? Oh, I'll show that one. But before, I was in the south of Italy in Lecce, where the heel, the boots, just there. And a lot of Arabic people came to my clinic and they said, Mr. Godin, and Turkish player, and they said, we would like to have a oud. Can you make a oud for us? I said, whoa, I know nothing about oud. And they say, we have so much problem. there, the oud is the instrument. Then these guys, they were so nice, and they sent me a oud from Turkey, and they say, look. Then I said, tell me your dream. Then I wrote the dream, and the team, we generate a oud that you can play live on stage, standing up, like a guitar. And it really made a hit. Then we worked 3 years on it. And if you go on our website, you're going to see I think the best player in the world, Fatih Ali Shkaleh. I call him and say, it's ready. 2 days after he was in Montreal. I want to try. Then he tried. We recorded in a studio in Montreal. He was crying. He says, never seen it. Then this opened a new door for us for, Istanbul. We were selling in a store in Istanbul. If there's 100 guitars, if there's 100 instruments, there's 80 oud and 20 guitars. Then the minute we did oud, wow. Then they bought my other guitars and everything. Then we turned to make an incredible market in Lebanon, and Dubai is the door for all these instruments. Anyway, this is a project we did for fun. Like we did for making a racing car. But it turns good. My last blah blah is a little instrument. It's a small instrument, and it's a Seagull, but the model name, it's Merlin. Merlin, the clown, the enchanteur. But the real why we used the name Merlin, it was the dog of my wife. And Merlin was known by everyone in the music. They were coming at the office, my wife is there, and the golden retriever lived 16 years. And he's got his 3 paws inside here, print. But anyway, this instrument, it's for educational purpose. Then it's an instrument, to play guitar, it's very difficult to start. And now young people, they have problem with attention. They have iPad, iPhone, boom, they have immediate reward. Then to study, just to learn to tune a guitar, it takes months of perseverance. Then this instrument here is based on 2 notes. D, A, D. Then, you see? And, you want me to sit there? Because they're recording. I am not a good player. But the Merlin, it's like a piano that I remove all the black note. It's only white note. Then here, if I... And you can't play a note at the wrong place. Then it's easy. And you can say, if you do a little melody, I play. The first string is double, because when you start, you're not precise with the pick or your finger. We don't hear the melody. Now having 2 notes, it gives you this punch. But you can always play all the notes. It sounds okay, Or I switch on the bass note. Then the instrument, it's very easy. And the teacher, it takes him minutes to tune. Then we wrote a book, a method to how to teach this instrument. And my wife take care of this part, educational. She was in the music industry before, and now she take care of a program called Guitar in the Classroom. We started that in the United States. because that's where it was based. And then a year ago, we give to a school in LA, I think it's 3,000 of those Merlin, and we give them the method, and they teach mathematics with that. And there's a school in South Carolina. We established a few places, and it's crazy. Children, the first day they participate, they play a tune. Sometimes they just play open. And but it's got an interesting sound. The instrument, it's quite something to make. It's made on a monoblock of hard maple. This one's got a solid mahogany top. I made the bridge a little bit Baroque look, you know, because remember, kids hate small instruments. Don't buy a small guitar for your kid. He will never touch it. I remember I did for Simon, my son who's there, a nice little electric guitar. It was gorgeous. I was so happy. I gave him, he said, very nice. He never touched it. Because it's a baby guitar. But he didn't want to tell me, but later he told me. You know, then this doesn't look like a guitar. And a doll, like I think Arcade Fire, just record with that. Because you can do incredible music with this instrument. But the big deal, it was to make it at a price. This retail in a shop, $129. Handmade here. But it's all done by numeric machine, robotic. The human work, not more than 4 minutes on this instrument. But it's so precise. I'll put it there, you can look after. We're so proud of this instrument because it really worked. Then they do, and they sing the mathematics like 1 + 1, 2, and you know, and they mix that with the guitar, and wow, the kids learn. They follow the group. They want to play the tune, the song. Then first thing we know, we were the front page of LA newspaper. We were the front page. They went to the school, the TV came, and it became crazy, the Merlin. And now she said, the same teacher, she said, this year, it's the 3rd grade one who came to, no, the 2nd grader who came to teach to the new one on the new 1st grade how to use the Merlin, you know. Then we can't make enough. We make them 7 days a week, and anyway, we're very happy. It's an educational part, and this is something, it's a new division for us. Anyway, I think I did a lot of blah blah so far. And how much time I have? None? You see, you have to remove the battery. Thank you.